Okay, so I'm definitely just like someone who likes to observe society, like I'm pretty sure everyone else does, and just kind of like make sense of what the heck is going on outside. And so, which is what led me to be a little more structured with today's video. And I don't know how long it's gonna be. It's not gonna be too much content, but just some thoughts about some different stuff. The first thing I wanted to talk about was like the decentralization of media. You guys, like, I'm making a vlog podcast. I don't know what this thing is. Just like documenting my thoughts as I'm going through life and documenting my finances. I guess that's the vlog and this is the podcast. I don't know. And as I'm doing that, I am so encouraged by the decentralization of media. Because, and what do I mean? Because I know sometimes I say stuff and it doesn't make sense. Maybe, and not because like my thoughts don't make sense, but because the language I chose wasn't the clearest. Media has so long been, it became something you had to like break into, right? And that component about media is natural. Like, how do you become a household name that everybody knows, that everyone is listening to and finds value in? How does it get to that point? As media companies became more centralized, like we know ESPN, ABC Family, and Disney Channel, and probably many others are all owned, like they're all like under one larger parent company that I think is Disney, right? And so when we have that's cool, but it makes it really hard for people who are like brilliant to break into those spaces, which is not a bad thing. It only becomes a bad thing if you're a dissenting opinion. So if you're a dissenting opinion and the media space is primarily controlled by popular opinion, it becomes so hard for anybody to ever hear you. And so, and to be fair, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but on a long-term thinking perspective, it is. And it is a bad thing because dissenting opinions usually can show where there's an error in popular opinion. Like there's something we're missing here. And so what that means to me is that we're slowing down change when we don't create spaces for dissenting opinions to show up, because popular opinion runs media, and if media is super centralized, then you're silenced. And so with the rise of the internet, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify, all these different things, we see more opinions being able to be heard. But now it's like, it's not just that they're able to be heard. This is the space where you get information. Like, you don't go to those news sources to get the main information. They're already secondary sources to some degree because they're reporting on what actually happened after the fact. But now they're secondary to the podcaster. They're secondary to YouTube. They're secondary to TikTok. Like, oh, this would, like, I'll be honest, for me, I'll see stuff. Like, I'll see something on Facebook. I'm like, let me go find out. Now let me go check the New York Times. Now let me go check this. Let me go, like, okay, let me go look at the New York Times. Okay, you know what? Actually, let me go check the government websites to see if this is true. Okay, actually, let me go check the Independent and Al Jazeera just to make sure. And then let me go check Snopes to fact check this to make sure it's real. And so the diversity of thought going forward, I think, is so beautiful, because now that means that people's minds are going to be a lot harder to control. And if you're not someone who's willing to do what I just described for things that are important to you, you don't got to do that for everything, but you should do it for the things that matter to you. You're going to be a sheep in the future, and you're going to get tossed to and fro in life. So I'm encouraged, and I really, like, this has been happening for a while, but I really noticed it when I saw, even when Candace Owens left the Daily Wire, or was removed, left, whatever, left the Daily Wire and then started her own show. Same thing happened with Brett Cooper. One of the guys from CNN, I guess he quit, and he's gonna go start his own news broadcasting. I was watching a commentary where someone's like, you're not ready for this, bro. You're not ready to be like critiqued without the protection of a larger entity that is ESPN behind you. And then also getting to see that that's happening in the sports world too, where people are just like, you know what? do it by myself. Because that allows us to have more diversity of thought. And also, another thing that I noticed that I really liked, I was like, you know what? I keep seeing when I watch videos and I'm watching commentaries and trying to get perspectives on what's going on in the world, is I keep seeing, like I watch, I think it's called Jubilee, Middle Ground, something like that. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be real open with y'all. I hated watching YouTube videos. I really did. That was actually one of my reasons why I didn't want to start a YouTube channel. Because I was like, who am I to start a channel knowing I don't watch nobody's stuff? And I don't watch nobody's stuff because I feel like I have a short attention span. I can talk to anybody forever, but I have a short attention span when it comes to watching videos. I don't really watch movies. It takes me days to watch movies, y'all. Like, I was trying to watch The Dark Knight on Hulu at one point. It took me so many days. They took The Dark Knight off of Hulu by the time I was ready to finish it. Like, this is not my skill. I'm working on it. It's not my skill. But anyway, and just seeing like people becoming household names in the field I work in for my day job. A podcaster from overseas was brought in to work on a news channel. And like, I'm like, he's an independent podcaster, and they're like, yeah, but this news channel like wants to hire him because his podcast did so well. And I'm like, that's so cool. And so just seeing how kind of like the gridlock over who gets to report and say the news, for a long time it seemed like journalism was a dying field, but it seems like this is the rebirth of journalism, the rebirth of profitable journalism. Because for a while I was like, why would you pay a journalist as an independent journalist when you can just go on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? And it's because who do you trust? And also becomes a character thing. Like, I know for me, I really like the comment section with Brett Cooper, and when they switched her out, I was like, I'm not watching that no more. Why would I keep watching this? If she launches another show, we here. But if she's not, I'm good. I'll go running somewhere else. It's okay. I'll listen to great commentary somewhere else. It's okay. She launched her show. I watch her show now. And I think that is really cool. And it's a beautiful place to be in for the United States when it comes to now news is going to be held to a higher standard of credibility going forward. That is what excites me, because now it becomes kind of a dog-eat-dog world of reporting the news in a way that is relatable, in a way that's going to reach your audience, in a way that's going to hold them long term, and really get like wanting to serve the people versus just make money off of something that's entertaining and actually give people information. So that was the first thing I want to talk about. Secondly, this all starts because America is crazy. Like, I'm so grateful to be in this country as opposed to anywhere else. Nothing wrong with other countries, but as opposed to anywhere else, America is crazy. And it is only in all of the chaos that people start to like get their stuff together. Like everyone, like it's like love him or hate him, like Donald Trump being president is like a come to Jesus moment for the whole country. And I mean, a lot of y'all aren't coming to Jesus, and you know, that's your business. I mean, you know, he died on the cross for you. He loves you. You got to make that decision for yourself. You got to be willing to seek God. But there's something, I had originally started this channel way back saying that I was going to go through Project 2025. Listen, that thing was 1,000 pages, right? Listen, that thing was 1,000 pages, bro. I had to sneeze, so I did pause the video. I think it was 1,000 pages. I did not make it. I think I got like maybe 30 pages in. Sorry, I didn't make it, and I squapped it because I was like, I'm not gonna finish this before the election. Cool. But in the first opening pages, there's something that said that I thought was really interesting. And if I can find it and cite the page, I'll put it in the notes at the bottom here. But something that they said was, you guys, like, basically the American people are being lied to that there are all these spaces that the government is supposed to fill. And they were like, community, it didn't say community. I don't want to misquote it, but essentially the message was there are all these spaces that they say the government is supposed to fill, and they're like, no, that is your community that's supposed to do that. The government is not responsible for that. And now, quick background story, when, I read Trump's platform too. It was very simple. But it was clear what he said he was going to do, and he's doing it. And one thing he said was, you guys will experience the largest deportations that America has ever seen in its history. So when all the madness started coming with the executive orders, one of a longtime restaurant near where I'm located got raided. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was shook. And I was bothered, and I was like, whoa. And then I remembered, I was like, and this is the power and the importance of community. Because their protection and the support that they need cannot come from the government, which is, or in this case, the ignorance of the government. It has to come from us as regular people rallying around the people in our community. But that restaurant has been around for years. Years. If they don't have their papers, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, not because anything's wrong with them, because I've met people who don't have their papers and they've been here for 20 years. It wouldn't be a surprise. But it's issues like that, you normally say is there a government policy that, or something that we can, no, is there a neighbor who knows something who can help you do something? And I don't quite know how to explain it, and maybe I'll do a deeper dive into it, because I just know that when I really sat there and I reflected, I've felt for a long time Americans have drifted away from the importance of community towards this sense of isolation and selfishness, where we don't need each other. And I think that also reflects on the poor relationships that our children have with each other. The lack of self-esteem, the high levels of anxiety that a lot of people are feeling is because we don't have community. And so now the one thing that has been replacing the need for community, which I think has been government, is gone. People are actually waking up all right, so we can't trust them. Cat's out of the bag, you never could. But America being crazy is a wake up, pay attention. People need you and you need other people. And I think that that's great. It's hard and it's scary and it's uncomfortable. Like I said, that restaurant, they've just always been there. And and they're still open. Don't get me wrong, they're still open. But knowing that, and knowing just I grew up seeing this restaurant all the time and thinking wow, they really could have just not been here in a moment. It was jarring. In my head, it was jarring. And I can't imagine how they felt having that happen. We live in a pretty small area. What the heck? But it really, I'm saying, I feel it's just waking people up. I feel we as Americans have been just way too complacent with nonsense. We've been complacent with and the nonsense I talk about is just us not being a unit as people with our local individuals and not caring about each other. And now we feel challenged that we have to be aware and have to be vigilant to take care of each other. So I'm encouraged that America looks crazy right now. I'll leave a comment below, but I'm actually super encouraged that America feels so crazy. That can also go back to the fact that when I studied abroad when I was in college, I had this epiphany that I was so for America to become a better country, we would actually have to crumble from the inside out and then rebuild ourselves back up. Do I want to be in that version of America where it's crumbling from the inside out? And I just looked and I thought about that for a minute. Just I'm looking at y'all right now, and at the time I said no. I was no, I don't want to be here for that. That sounds, it's giving purge, it's giving anarchy, it's giving end of the world. I don't want that. And the older I got and the more I kept seeing the breakdown of American community, the breakdown of values, the crumbling of standards for decency and order, and the crumbling of standards when it came to just life, I'm looking outside. Because I'm looking outside and I'm just remembering just my gradual disappointment of things I experienced, and the more peace I made with yeah, somebody gotta clean this up. We got to tear the whole thing apart and start over. And I think that's the phase that we're in. And so despite the discomfort, if you're watching this, I say lean into the discomfort. Lean into the discomfort, because that's what I'm looking to do, is lean in and see how can you help your neighbor. How can you be a better person? How can you increase the quality of standards and the experience of what it means to be an American? Oh, I did not put that on my list, but I will say this. This is something that I think everybody, black, brown, gay, whatever you identify as, whatever your victim identity is, I think all of us need to double down on like owning the fact that we're just American. Because as much as, and this is a whole nother video that that's why I didn't put that on this list, is like, we think that DEI was like super helpful. I think it did its job. And I think it ran its course. But whatever. We think that like identifying with all these different things is helpful to a degree. At the end of the day, the argument at its fundamentals and at its beginning was like, all those things do not deny, limit, or inhibit the truth, which is that I too am an American. And I think that we have harped so much on how much America has hurt people, how unequal, and it's like, no, the conversation always has to circle back to the fact that, like, almost like Sojourner Truth says, like, ain't I a woman? Aren't I still an American? Don't I still have the access to the same liberties and rights that our Constitution gives me? Why are you treating me crazy in my homeland? And I think if we double down as black women, Latino women, gay men, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you identify as, if you double down on the fact that, like, hey, at my core, I'm an American. Like, I'm an American, like, period. I'm an American. I contribute to society. I was or was not born here, but my papers say I'm here. Like, I'm an American. Put some respect on my name. And I think that has to be the joining factor of how we move forward in society, because I don't personally think that harping on these little identities has actually brought us closer as Americans. If anything, I think it's brought us further apart as we go into this, like, we've been in a phase of just radical individualism, which, if you've never heard that term before, people have been studying this for years. And I'm 27 years old. I'll be 28 this year in 2025. I remember studying that at like 22 or 23. People studying the rise of radical individualism, and the death of collective action, which those two things are somehow intersecting. I did not study that. I think I should in the future. But the rise of that sense of individualism where, like, I'm just me and me is more important than we, has been toxic for us. Because now we don't have communities to back us up, and so everyone becomes our enemy. Your community is the fact that you're American. You should be able to try and negotiate, make friendships, make peace, and compromise on the fact that, like, we live in a community together, and that community is America. Whether that community is Texas, that community is California, New York, Ohio, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, it doesn't matter. Like, you're an American. Oh, this country doesn't like black people. Well, bro, you live here. You were born here. Does that include you? Oh, like, come on, guys. Like, we at some point, what, like, in all the complaining and all the frustration and all the marching and all, like, what is the solution? The solution becomes, I am an American. What does that standard become for everybody? Everybody. I love philosophy because I'm listening to a book. And that was actually the point I was supposed to end on, but I'm not. Yes, I am. I'm listening to a book called The Courage to be Disliked. And something he mentions is, the problem. Wait, is it that book? Okay, I've read quite a few books in the past couple weeks. But one thing that is mentioned is, like, when you start looking at your victim identities too much, you can start making stipulations and standards that you would never want other identities to hold you to or to be held to. But as long as it's being held for you, it's fine. It's fine. But all that creates is chaos, madness, hatred, and animosity, which to me is what America was full of. I personally was looking, I was like, we went through the phase of cancel culture. We went through the phase of the Me Too movement. Like, we went through all these moments where somebody was the enemy. Everyone, and it's people in our society where, like, we're just at war with each other. And I think now we're coming to a place where it's like, let's just be in a space where we can redefine what it means to be an American, so that it includes more people, so that it, like, people can't say they feel like I'm a discounted American. You know what? Actually, as I wrap this up, I think I've mentioned it before. I went to college and I studied international politics and philosophy. One of the main reasons I picked up a philosophy major was towards the end of my college year, towards the end of my senior year, actually. The middle of my senior year? I don't know. I picked up that degree really late. But it was because I had taken so many classes in it. We had to study the French Revolution, which, you know, as people talk about Kendrick and the revolution will be televised, one major falling point on the French Revolution that I noticed when I was studying it from a philosophical standpoint, and that I also saw when I looked at the Arab Spring years before, was if you do not define what the next phase looks like, anybody can take over and define what it's going to look like for you. And so, and that's kind of what I saw with all these little identities. It's like, well, things are unfair for us for this. It's unfair. And it's like, so what does this look like on the other side? And that's the phase we're in as America. As things are being dismantled that have been put together, it is our job, it is our responsibility to just start to define, what does the next side of this actually look like? The next side of like, what is the America you intend to see? And there's a great book. So the book I'm reading now is called The Courage to be Disliked. The other book I'm about to recommend is called The Mountain is You. And one thing that is said in The Mountain is You, these are both personal development books. I have a belief that countries are just people, obviously, because countries are made up of people. But if you can think of how a person functions, if you know anything about the personal development process, self-care, healing, trauma, there's a large section of that that's very, very, very ugly, where you have to come face to face with the fact that it's me, hi, I'm the problem. I think countries have to do the same thing. They have to go through the phase 2 of personal development, where it's like all chaos can be breaking loose around you, but at the end of it, you got to deal with what's going on internally. Because if it's a mess internally, the outside is going to look a mess too. And you can't fix the outside until you fix the inside. That being said, in The Mountain is You, she makes this claim that, what was I getting at? She makes this claim that when you become so familiar with the problem, you're basically self-sabotaging. Like, you don't even know what you want on the other side anymore. You're just self-sabotaging because all you know is that the problem exists. To imagine a world where the problem's not the problem anymore because you've solved it, your brain can't think of it. It's time to start dreaming about what does an equal America realistically look like? Because it's not perfect, but it's better than where we were. What is an equitable America? Whatever little buzzword we want to use, what does that really look like? And then start living it, start walking it, start promoting it, start casting that vision with the people that not to the government, because clearly that's not who you need to be talking to. You need to be talking to your neighbor. You need to be talking to if the only government you're talking to is your local government, you need to be talking to the person on your school board. Like, you need to be talking to the federal government. That's not their job. That's not their job. Yeah, this was a random rant about what's going on in America. I think I need to make these a little more structured, because maybe come with like things to talk about. I don't know. I do enjoy doing this, and I do think about a lot of random things. I just know that a lot of things start occurring to me when I look like a bum and I'm sitting in my bed. So it takes me forever to record things. And I don't want to look like a bum sitting in my bed when I record things. But last thing I'll leave you with is, like I said, this channel is supposed to be focused on me tracking my finances. I am tracking my finances. I am making some changes in my life as of right now, and trying to figure some stuff out. So stay tuned. I will post the video about that. I did not forget. I think I did post another video saying I was going to do a study into womanhood, and just like some different concepts and ideas around womanhood. So stay tuned for more content. Don't know what I'm making of this channel, but I'm gonna just keep chugging along. If you got to the end of this video, this almost 25 minute video, thank you for watching. Peace out.